Hello and welcome to yet another tutorial by Davies Media Design. My name is Michael Davies, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to easily create geometric halftone designs using a simple trick in GIMP. I'll be using GIMP version 2.10.20, which is the latest version of GIMP at the time of this tutorial. But of course, before I get into that, don't forget to check out my website at daviesmediadesign.com. As always, I have tons of GIMP and Inkscape tutorials on here. You can also get more by becoming a premium member, and I have tons of free software articles, so definitely check that out. You can enroll in my GIMP 2.10 Masterclass from beginner to pro photo editing on Udemy. You can enroll in any of my Skillshare classes by visiting gimpschool.com. And you can get more with a premium membership to Davies Media Design. I'll include all the relevant links to this tutorial in the description of the video. The colors I'll be using for today's tutorial I got from using coolors.co. This is a great place for you guys to create your own color palettes. I'll also be using some free stock photos from Pixabay, so this is going to be the main photo I'm using. This is like a honeycomb or hexagon design. You definitely want to make sure there's no seams in between each shape if you want to use a different design. But I just clicked the free download button and went with the 1884 by 1920 option. Here's one of the final designs inside of GIMP. So this is a hexagon or honeycomb pattern. And you can see we have this halftone line design. And I also created two other designs. So there's this design here and this one, both using the same technique. So this is a really simple technique that's best for creating brochure covers, and then you can use these covers inside of something like Scribus whenever you're creating a brochure. But let's dive in here. I'll start by going to File, New. And as I mentioned, the dimensions for this document are going to be for an A4 brochure. So if I click on here and come over to millimeters, this is 210 by 297. GIMP is rounding it a little bit, I think probably because of the grid, but I'll click OK. So the first thing I'll do on my document is choose the background color I want to use. So I'll come over to my foreground color and I'm just going to select this blue color here. You guys can copy my HTML notation. I'll click OK. And then I'm just going to click and drag this color onto my background. And there we have our background color for our document. Next, I'm going to bring in the pattern I want to use. So this is going to be that hex pattern that we downloaded from Pixabay. So once you've downloaded the pattern, you can open it up by going to File, Open, or in my case, Open Recent. So I'm going to start with this pattern here. It's going to be an ugly brown color to start with. So the color scheme of this is pretty terrible, but we're not going to need the colors because we're going to go to Colors, Saturation, and we're going to use the saturation slider to desaturate this. So just turn the scale slider all the way down to the left and I'll click OK. Now we're going to add some contrast to this. There's not a whole lot of contrast. So I'll go to Colors, Curves, and I'm just going to drag the top portion up and the bottom portion down. That's going to create a nice S curve, which always adds contrast. And you can adjust these values until you get the result that you like. In this case, I'm going pretty intense with it. There's a before, there's an after. And I'll click OK. Once you have this the way you want, come up top to this tab and click and drag it onto our document, and then drag your mouse on top of the document and release. This is obviously too small, so what I'll do is hit Shift S on my keyboard or grab the scale tool over here from my toolbox. So it's inside of this tool group here. And make sure this is selected. You can always click on it if it's not. And then you're going to click and drag the transform handles. I'm holding Control and Shift. That's ensuring that this drags from the center and it maintains the aspect ratio. And I actually want this to be fairly large because I want the little hex shapes to be pretty large. So probably something like right there, and hit Scale. Now what I'll do is convert these little hex shapes to the line design, so the halftone lines. And what I'll do for that is go to Filters, Distorts, Newsprint. And I'm going to make sure the color model is set to black on white. The pattern I'm going to set to line for now. You guys can change this to whatever you want. So you have circle, diamond, PSS square, or Euclidean dot, and crossing lines. I'm just going to go with line. The period is essentially going to adjust the size of the actual lines. So you can see as I drag this to the right, it's increasing the size of the lines. And then the angle allows you to change the angle that the lines are coming at. So If I shift this over, this is going to give us a left to right direction going downwards. So those are really the only two settings that I need to adjust. I'll come over here and click OK. So now we have these halftone lines, these newsprint lines. So next I want to change the color of these lines to the color I want to use for my final design. And the way I can do that is by hitting the / key on my keyboard. That brings up the search actions feature. I can also access this by going to Help, Search, and run a command. And now I'm just going to type color to, and the first option is color to alpha. I'll double click on that. So make sure you're on your dropped buffer layer for this. Come over and click on the color, and we're just going to change that to black. What that's going to do is make your black transparent, and I'll click OK. And I'll click OK once again. So now you'll see we have these white lines here. And in order to make these a different color, what we'll do is come over on our dropped buffer layer, which I'll rename. So I'll name this lines. You can rename that by double clicking on it. I'll come up top and I'm going to lock the alpha channel. That's going to lock any of the transparent areas we just created with that color to alpha filter. And now what I can do is come over here and choose a different color. So let's go with this yellow color. You can copy my HTML notation and I'll click OK. And now simply click and drag that foreground color on top of the lines layer and release. That's going to change the color of the lines to that yellow color. You can go with any color you want. So for example, here's this bright red color. I can click and drag that on top and now it's red. But I'll hit Control Z. I'll stick with this. So I also created a rectangle and added some text. So let's do that real quick. I'll create a new layer and this one's already named rectangle for me. I'll fill it with transparency and click OK. So now I'm just going to grab my rectangle select tool and then I'm just going to click and drag this. I'm just roughly estimating here. And when I release my mouse, there we have our rectangle. And now I'll come over here to my Paths tab, and I'm just going to click this icon here to convert this selection area to a path. I'll hit Control-Shift-A to deselect that. And with this path selected, I'm just going to come over here and click this icon, paint along the path to stroke the path. And I'll come over here and just change my foreground color to white and click OK. My line width is going to be 15 for this, and I'll click stroke. So here's our rectangle. Now let's fill this in with some text. I'll grab my text tool and I'm just using this free font Bungee. You can click on the text here and search through your fonts. I do have an entire tutorial on how to download fonts for GIMP, so definitely check that out. But I'm gonna click on here and with the caps lock key, I'm gonna type one letter, so G, Control A to select it, and let's just increase this a bit. Probably go to about right there. And now I'm just going to click to create another text box. This one I'll do I. And what size did I do? 350. Let's change that to 350. Change this to 350. Move that into place. Then I'll grab my text tool again. I'll type M, Control A, 350. And finally, P, Control A, 350. Let's move these into place. And if you wanted to align the text here, so right now I'm just eyeballing it, but if you wanted to align this properly, let's come over, grab the alignment tool. We're going to click on the first letter, shift click on the second one. We'll change the align option to first item. And then I'm going to click the center button, so align center of target, and that will align these two. I'm going to shift click on the other two letters here and then just click to center align those. Click off of here, and let's click on the background layer. So I will be providing these designs as templates for my premium members. Otherwise, I will provide links to the free photos I use, the free patterns I use to create these designs, and you guys are welcome to create them yourself. But that's it for this tutorial. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, you could check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/daviesmediadesign. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content. You can also check out any of the links to my resources in the description of the video. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.